Hello everybody and welcome to Excellent Anime Reviews, and today, as you can guess from the title, we are going to be talking about Berserk, which happens to be my favorite anime/manga of all time. So make sure that you put your glasses on and let's talk about Berserk. I was in college when I had first even heard of Berserk, and thanks to a fellow eye patch brethren, I had heard of everything Berserk, and I was already experimenting with things in college. Yeah! And as I had stated in a previous video, I really wasn't into anime in high school, but I figured, I don't know, something from that video told me that it was at least, worth giving the 97 anime a shot to watch. And since it was free on YouTube, I figured, what the hell, what do I have to lose? And what I saw was unlike anything that I had ever seen. I mean, the violence was so brutal, the story was so touching, and the art was so amazing. Even though the main character, Guts, lives in this world where trolls, monsters, and demons exist, he becomes one of the most sympathetic and relatable characters in any sort of medium that I've ever seen. I mean, and that's saying something, because if you are a newcomer to the series of Berserk and you see a picture of Guts, your first instinct isn't that he's someone that's sympathetic, but rather that he's somebody that will chop your body in half if you say the wrong word to him. But we'll get back to our boy Guts in just a moment. Kentaro Miura is the legendary mangaka that penciled the world of Berserk, which started all the way back in October of 1989 and is still running to this very day, which is insane to think that this story has been going on for that long. Naturally, it's nothing new that a series in anime runs for, that long, but, when a series keeps going for an extended period of time, it's hard, for the reader to not notice a notable dip in quality. Something like The Simpsons, around that kind of stuff. And while most shows/manga tend to go through that kind of phase, Berserk never really has. The only thing that sucks about being a Berserk fan is the fact that it takes, forever for Kentaro Miura to pump out new volumes. But honestly, I can understand why, because he's not only an artist, but he is a true genius at work. I mean, look at these images from the manga, and don't tell me that this isn't a master at work. I would rather wait, honestly, to have the full story, even if it does come out when I am 45, as opposed to having something that's rushed and full of botches and have the story completed right now. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm going to be talking about all the Berserk mediums that I have experienced and say what they mean to me. And I have two PSAs for this video straight off the bat. One, I'll try not to include spoilers, but at some point I feel as though I will have to talk about them, but I'll provide times on when to skip. So if you're interested, you can watch it spoiler-free. And two, I sadly will not be talking about Berserk 2K16 just because that is a medium that I have still, not yet seen, and I would rather not have my memories and love for Berserk completely spoiled by the utterless and ruddy Clang. This was the first medium of Berserk that I had ever experienced. And there are some people that say that the 97 anime isn't as good as others might say it is. And I will say that, it is not the best looking anime in the world. It's very basic in its design, and there are others that just look absolutely stellar, like My Hero Academia and Attack on Titan. But the 97 anime, it's far from unpresentable. It looks pretty decent, and it has so many really just phenomenal shots, and those shots not only capture the terror of this world, but also the beauty. Even though the art isn't anything that's, outstanding, it makes up for it by the pacing of the story, and the story in general is just really good. You can empathize with Guts as the series goes on, which is one of the best things about this series. Another thing is that since it is 25 episodes long, we get to see each of the main characters of Guts, Casca, and Griffith, and the rest of the Band of the Hawk grow and change as people. Guts starts off as this mercenary who is also really a lone wolf who doesn't really like people because he's had a really, really fucked up childhood. Like, really fucked up. Like, keep in mind when I say that, if you haven't watched or read it, his childhood is really fucked up. So naturally, he doesn't want to let anyone get close to him or even touch him because of the abuse that he's faced in the past. But when he joins the Band of the Hawk, he slowly starts to trust in people again. And not only that, but he starts to care for them as well. And with each passing episode, we see him care about these people and ultimately mourning the loss of the Band of the Hawk when Griffith betrays them. There are, some things that are, of course, cut from the manga in this series, but for the most part, all the main beats and the important events are covered here in the anime. We also can't talk about the anime series without talking about the great Susumu Hirasawa and his just amazing music that is spread throughout the series, and it's what you're listening to right now. Susumu Hirasawa is just like Kentaro Miura, and he is a master at work, as in an instant he can make you feel pure utter beauty in this world and empathy for Guts, and in the next moment he can take you to feel dread, anything that causes emotional distress in this world. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to his music as I've been contemplating life or been taking in nature. Plus, not to mention, we have the best anime opening of all time. Plus, not to mention, Susumu Hirasawa's music has, entered meme culture with the Silence Wench meme, and it's just purely phenomenal.
And if you choose the $30 subscription, you get...
Silence Wench. I do not wish to be horny anymore. I just want to be happy.
To sum up this part of the video, even though the anime is not, 100%, perfect, I feel as though that the positives far outweigh the negatives that other people bring when discussing the 97 anime. And even to this day, it's something that I see a lot of people on YouTube getting emotional after watching the final episode in the series, and I think that to this day it holds up rather well, and it's still something that I watch time and time again whenever I feel bored of what I'm watching, or when I want to watch something that's familiar. I will always put on the 97 anime, and I find myself rewatching it time and time again. Quickly after I saw the 97 anime, and especially with that hell of an ending, I naturally wanted more and more of Berserk, and this was right around the time when the Golden Age movies were released. So naturally, I had to dive in headfirst to these movies. However, it didn't continue the next part of the story, but rather retold the Golden Age arc, which is arguably the best arc in all of Berserk. And, everything that I had just seen in the 97 anime. I personally prefer the Lost Children arc, but Golden Age is purely magical. I will say that. Now, of course, the animation in the first movie is a little bit jarring in some places, but as the movies go on, the animation really starts to get better, and in terms of comparing this to the 97 anime, when it comes to the art, I think that the Golden Age movies might have it a little bit better. However, the big drawback with the Golden Age movies are the fact that there are only 3 of them, with each movie lasting about an hour and some change. So naturally, there is just no fucking way in hell that they could fit every single thing from the Golden Age manga arc into all 3 of those movies. So naturally, there is a lot that is, cut out. Like Wild, he's just gone completely, and he has one of the best moments and one of my favorite moments in all of the manga. They also cut out the attempted rape of Princess Charlotte by her dad, and there's also just a hell of a lot more that was cut out. And although you get the main stuff that makes the Golden Age arc amazing, there is a lot, and I mean a lot, that is missing that's also just pure gold. Plus, I mean, if you're trying to get into the series after watching the anime, this is not the best way to go about it, because it's basically a retelling of what you just saw from the 97 anime. However, the story, like I said, the story is phenomenal. Even here, with all these things and these shortcuts that were taken, it still hits the right emotional beats. And, it's not the worst representation of Berserk, but it's also not the best. And if you want to start off by watching these movies, I will say this, that there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, because not only are you getting somewhat decent animation, but it also does hit a lot of the emotional beats, and the Golden Age arc is truly an amazing place to start off. It turns out that I was so oblivious to the world of Berserk video games, because it turns out that there have actually been a few that were made and sold outside of the West, like the Dreamcast and the PS2 games. And sure, I could find a way to possibly emulate them online, but in my opinion, it wouldn't feel right, because I, as a person, am very old school, and I'd rather play the game with a console and controller in my hand. But without any sort of games to play, I didn't even know until a few years back that there existed one that I could play, called Berserk in the Band of the Hawk. I, of course, have played this game, and, if you ever played any of the Dynasty Warrior games, then you have basically played Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. Now, the story of the game follows everything that happened from the Golden Age arc to the Conviction arc, and even up to the Millennium Falcon arc, and between each mission, they sprinkle in scenes from the Golden Age movies. So if you're experiencing Berserk for the first time, then you won't have any problems getting involved with the story and being caught up. They also give you the option to play as other characters as you progress through the game and the story. So I will say that it's incredibly awesome to play as Griffith, Casca, or even motherfucking Nosferatu Zod. And it feels awesome to just cut down tons of enemies with guts. And I feel as though that it perfectly encapsulates the bloodshed and the grittiness of this world that Berserk builds up. However, there is a drawback, of course. I will say that the gameplay is very, very repetitive, and it gets old very fast. I mean, staying the same game throughout the majority of it, and there is very little challenge as well. I set the difficulty at its highest point, and I found myself like little to no challenge in the game, and I only ended up dying like I think a total of 5 times. But the game, honestly, you know, it's not really difficult. But where it lacks in, you know, difficulty mode and everything like that, it makes up for it in its just pure, stunning, you know, graphics. And the cutscenes, because once the story is done with the Golden Age arc, and it continues on through the rest of Berserk, they have pre-made, you know, CGI cutscenes, and those cutscenes are honestly really well done. Those cutscenes look like phenomenal, and I wish that they had more of them sprinkled throughout the game. And I just love it. I love it. And, you know, yes, it's a little bit repetitive and stuff like that, but honestly, it did something for me that I kept on playing. I kept on playing and going through this story, and not to mention that this was my first experience getting to continue on the story of Guts after everything with the Golden Age arc, because I had no real, I had no closure to see, oh, what's gonna happen next. I didn't think of going out and seeking these comics. So this, and also I will say this, that this isn't a perfect adaptation either, because they completely cut everything with, you know, the Lost Children arc. They completely cut that from the video game, but they also added in a lot, and I mean a lot, that I had no idea was even happening, or that even happened in this world of Berserk. So there was a lot of brand new things being exposed to me. And you might have noticed a specific trend in this video where I talk about a specific Berserk medium and the fact that it does have some flaws. And I did this mainly to show that even though I love each and every one of these iterations of Berserk, they are not perfect, but I do love them regardless, warts and all. But there is one medium of Berserk that is just absolutely perfect. Whoa, Nelly. This video is pretty long, but we can't talk about Berserk without talking about the manga. It wasn't until 2020 actually that I had first started to read Berserk, so, you know, I could stay home as opposed to the many 20-year-olds going out there and partying for spring break and wondering why the hell they have corona. I ordered the deluxe edition, and, well, one ended up turning into 4 deluxe editions, and 4 deluxe editions gradually turned into me owning all 40 volumes of the manga, and to this day, it is one of my most prized possessions. Unlike the 97 or the Golden Age movies, this is where you get the full story of Guts, Griffith, and the Band of the Hawk, and it's honestly paced brilliantly and not rushed whatsoever, and there are themes that you can breathe in as you read each and every chapter of the manga. You know, the art is also beautifully, truly breathtaking. You know, this is something that Kentaro Miura has made, and it really is one of the most, if not the most beautiful pieces of art that I have ever seen, with amazing beauty and unbelievable horror all mixed into one. I mean, look at some of these stills and tell me that you are not impressed. It was here that I could finally get the continuation of Berserk that I had wanted for so long, after watching the 97 anime and the Golden Age arc. And even though the Golden Age arc is, phenomenal, and it's truly just great, there is so much more to Berserk than just the Golden Age arc, and I feel as though that a lot of people only see Berserk for the Golden Age arc. I remember reading the Lost Children arc for the first time and being so blown away, because my first experience with it was that I was one of those people that the Golden Age arc was the hottest thing since sliced bread. And it wasn't until I experienced the Lost Children arc that I thought, oh my god, this story is not just the Golden Age arc. It far surpasses it. And sure, I could have read Berserk online for free, but I'm very old school, and I prefer to read manga physically. And sure, it cost me a shit ton of money to collect every single volume of Berserk, but it was honestly worth it, as I got to experience the full story. However, like I said, if there is one drawback to the manga, it's the fact that Kentaro Miura likes to take his sweet-ass time pumping out those volumes. And who knows, honestly, when the next set of volumes are set to come out. And right here is where we insert a picture of Sad Guts. Other than that, it's purely flawless, and I recommend reading all of it. I remember reading the final 2 volumes and dreading to turn the final pages, because I didn't want this ride that Kentaro Miura had took me on to come to an end. But I had to know what was going to happen to Guts and Casca, and I nearly cried as I finished the last volume. Not only was I sad for Guts, but I was sad that the journey for now was over, as Berserk had been there for a majority of my young adult life. When I was in college, Berserk was there. When I fell in love for the first time, Berserk was there. When I fucked up majorly and hated myself, Berserk was always there. And also, when the time came to forgive myself and pick myself up, Berserk was once again there. It might seem a little dumb to get emotional over something that isn't real, something that people might think is childish, but just because Berserk isn't real doesn't mean that it can't be relatable or touch a nerve with you. And even though I am unfortunately done with Berserk for now and will go on to read other manga, I'll always have a special place in my heart for Berserk. And I'll always be eagerly waiting for the next volume, as I'm sure that it will be phenomenal, as always. That's been it for this video, and I did not think that this Berserk video would go for as long as I did, but yet here we are. I just wanted to do a quick shout out to everyone who's watched and made it this far. If you like Berserk, tell me what is your favorite part of it. I just had to do something. I mean, look at the look at the channel icon. It's Guts. I just felt as though I had to do something, talking about Berserk, because like I said, it's always been there for me, so I figured I wanted to give my love for it back in this form of a video. Do me a favor, guys, let me know what you guys want to see in these kind of videos. in the comments section below. Make sure you guys hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I've been Samuel V, aka Excellent Anime Reviews, and I will see you all as soon as I can.